HPE, it was pretty mixed. And, in fact, I appreciate the company acknowledging that, but some very bright spots on earnings per share where they beat, right? They had record gross margin percent and some really great progress on ARR. There were some, hiccups here, challenged quarter on quarter comparisons. That was one. They were blowing it out on the edge for so many quarters, right? 50% growth, 40% growth, and that's tough. And like we saw with Cisco, slowing. Well, actually, let me turn that back. Cisco had booming edge network, and HPE talked about slowing campus network demand. I don't know if it's share shift. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I need to do the double click on there. And like we heard from Dell, limited GPU supply availability. Wah, wah. Anyways, I don't think that this doesn't change my long-term prognosis on the company. This timing of large AI system acceptances is a challenging thing. Essentially, what that means is either they can't get it to work, or they can't get it to work correctly. So this has become I think this is the second or third quarter that this has come up. HPE has has the top high performance computer system, but it has a bunch of them in the in the top five. So a lot of good, but pretty mixed as well, and very muted response from the street.
Yeah, look, the new normal for this quarter has been revenue deceleration with good bottom line management, and that's what solid leadership teams are doing right now. They're working against the backdrop of a still complex macro. Let's be very clear. It also works against the backdrop that guidance has been adjusted. So, when we miss right now, we're not missing against what were kind of higher expectations that came from a few years past. The last year, or especially most of early 23 and late 22, was the beginning of what I'd say an adjusted guidance period. It's funny, I saw something, Pat, on the Twitters, and it was Brian Sazi, from
Bloomberg.
No, I think he's from Yahoo.
Oh, Yahoo Finance, yeah.
And he said, he put this out there, and let's share it because it's interesting. He said there's the Mag 7 stocks, and then there were the other 493 doing something about the S&P 500. So he looked at earnings growth at the end of Q4. And so it was Alphabet up 51%, Amazon up 304%, Apple up 13%, Meta up 197%, Microsoft up 26%, NVIDIA up 489%, Tesla was actually down. So the Magnificent Seven on average had 56% earnings growth. The entire index had an 8% growth.
Yeesh.
And if you took the 7 out of the index, it didn't grow. They were negative. And so why I'm saying that is that's the 493 companies doing something else. Like, this is a fairly common. So they actually did good on earnings, overall by being able to beat. But the lack of earnings growth is actually the standard now. So that's why you're seeing only a very small number of companies pop. This is not a widespread rally. This is a very narrow rally. You got Supermicro, you got, NVIDIA, you got Microsoft, you got there's 10 companies it feels like they go up, and everything else is just kind of floating. Here's what I liked about the earnings. I'm just gonna be a broken record. Every quarter I say, look, I'm the ARR order book and GreenLake business to me is everything. 3 years ago, 4 years ago now. And I talked to Antonio on earnings day, and their CEO, Antonio Neri. And, he pointed out too, you're shifting the business. You're moving from more big iron to more subscription. That's always going to be a top line offset. And you're trying to get very, very quickly to strong ARR numbers. Then their fastest or, second fastest growth of ARR since 2019. They saw their order book growing substantially. They're still obviously spending and investing and returning to shareholders. And they also added 3,000 customers on quarter over quarter to GreenLake. So that density of customers for GreenLake is really, really important. So some good things in it. I mean, look, when we get to Dell at the end, you're going to see about why the difference can be in the margins. And it depends just on a little bit on what you say on your earnings call and how much you're specifically able to articulate your AI story right now and the value it's creating. And the companies that are getting really prescriptive here are getting a big result. HPE has a big influence on networking, a big influence on compute in private cloud with AI, but I'm not sure the market's fully appreciating the AI play. And beyond, the slower revenue, because I don't think Dell was actually up on a year-over-year basis revenue. They just beat.
That's right.
Beat the expectation. So we'll get back to that. But they were very prescriptive on the AI part, and people were able to back that in out of the order book.